October is National Photographer Appreciation Month. Our Hayden Standen is sitting down with an experienced photographer who will give us a look at what goes on behind the camera.
Thank you, George. Joining me today is LA-based photojournalist and multimedia storyteller, Anthony Tedesco. Anthony, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here, thank you.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into photography?
I fell in love with photography here at CSUN. It started when I took an elective here, photojournalism. At the time I was still set in the mindset of just being like a print journalist. When I had switched into the major, I didn't think that being a journalist expanded outside of maybe a newsroom or like a desk kind of setting. But I took a photojournalism class and I instantly fell in love with the arts and the capabilities that like a camera offers you as a storyteller. And me being somebody that's visually inclined in terms of storytelling, like I love film, I love television, I love photography. I used to like photography before, and that was kind of, it was I guess I would say a suppressed sort of interest that kind of, as a child I was into it and then I kind of forgot about it. But that class that I took here, J250 or something like that, I like rekindled the fire that I had forgotten that I had. I was like, okay, this is like something I seriously, I love doing. And then from there it was just, I bought a camera and just kind of kept it at my side at all times.
So a key topic your work has centered around recently is the ICE protests. In a protesting environment, how do you go about making sure you're safe in such a tricky place?
Definitely pulling from my peers that I've met throughout this year, because up until this point, or I hadn't been shooting before this year, I should say. And when these ICE protests and the unrest kind of was bubbling in downtown LA, it happened very fast, and I was way out of my element. But I had met several photographers leading up to these, and so they were a little bit more prepared than I had been. And they said, get yourself like, potentially some sort of vest to protect yourself, masks, gas masks, I said a helmet, and maybe a backpack to cover your backside. But it all happened very quickly this year. And so for like the first, I want to say maybe first two like big protests downtown, down by the detention center, and then also in Compton, which was further away. That all happened within like a 3 or 4 day span back in June. But a lot of us were like, we were not prepared protection-wise, I should say. To answer your question, just head on the swivel is very important as well.
So what is it about protests specifically that draws you in and makes you want to take photos there of all places?
I think how visceral the imagery can be, and also the weight of what is being protested, and how it recently has been like a major impact on the Los Angeles community, with people being disappeared off the streets, people being locked up for, most of the time, no reason. And it's very it is a super depressing reality that we find ourselves in, and the protests are like a natural human response. And so capturing images of that, I think, is not only important for regular people to see, in the news cycle, but it's also important to just kind of capture the essence of what is happening now, like on a human level, if that makes sense.
So what kind of messages are you trying to capture when you're taking these photos? Is it the emotion? Is that the main focus, or is it something else?
That is a main focus for sure. Emotion is always important. Action and reaction, emotions. Just also good composition is important in every photo. But I think it's just trying to boil down a situation to like what is essentially happening. Because that's what photography is. Like, this is happening in this moment right now, and then what do we see? And then, go for it.
Speaking of those moments, is there a particular moment that you've captured that stuck with you the most, and why?
There's a couple. The first and foremost image that comes to my mind was, it was like the second or third day of, anti-ICE protest downtown. And this guy in a skull-painted balaclava hops on top of one of these Waymos downtown that had been parked and set on fire. And he's got a big old, I think I don't know if there was a mouth cut out of the face mask, but there was a grin on there. And he's got a skateboard and he's whacking the top of the Waymo, and behind him is like this massive fireball of the other ones behind him that are burning. So that is one photo that I'm very proud to say that I've captured, and it's probably the most striking that I have in recent memory.
So it seems that you're not at all afraid to capture photos in very difficult, very stressful environments. Do you feel like photographers like yourself get the credit they deserve for showing that willingness to capture these kind of photos?
I would say yes and no. I think when certain images are entering the news cycle and showing up on headlines and stuff, I think the recognition comes after the fact. I think more of the attention on, like from the audience perspective, is based on the photo itself, and then, you know, in retrospective, we look back and say, oh man, I can't imagine what this photographer had to go through to get this image, which, you know, I think has been a big thing that's been going on recently. Just there's so much going on, and so much chaos, I guess is the right word to use. There's a lot of more important things to worry about, you know, in front of the camera than what's going on behind it, which maybe is not. It's a little self-deprecating perhaps, but, you know, I'm not concerned about myself. I'm concerned about telling the story, if that makes sense.
So looking ahead to the future, how do you think photography will change with things like AI and Photoshop very much in the picture nowadays?
I certainly hope it doesn't change too much. AI is becoming a big topic of conversation, but realistically, it's not, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on the photography sphere. AI video definitely is getting up there in terms of, you know, believability, but I think we have enough of a solid foundation in like legacy media and print publications in terms of what photos are ran, just from like a standards. You know, we have like our AP standards for writing and stuff. Same goes for photography. Certain things can't be shown. Certain things have to be, you know, captioned and delivered to a publisher in a certain way. So I think as a journalist, or a photojournalist, I should say, we should be all right in terms of AI. And also Photoshop and certain other photo editing programs do label in the metadata AI functionality. I think Photoshop is working on some new stuff that is going to circumnavigate that, but you can still kind of tell. So for the most part, for the next couple years, I think we should be okay.
And lastly, just briefly, what does photography look like for you in the future? Where do you want to go with it?
My goal is to end up in a news agency, AP, Reuters. That's like the top of the mountain. We won't be there for a couple years, hopefully. Working freelance is what I do mainly, and I would like to keep doing that because, you know, freedom of schedule is very nice. It allows me a lot of flexibility with where I get to spend my time with certain stories I want to cover, certain events. I would like to work with local papers, either small here in the Valley or hopefully larger LA Times, something like that. I don't want to get ahead of myself too quickly. I would like to be humble with my skills. You know, I've just started this, you know, at the beginning of this year, and I don't want to throw myself into a situation where I would, you know, jeopardize my reputation or my employer's reputation, because I have a lot of respect for media, legacy media, as well as new media, you know, that's coming up. I wouldn't want to be, you know, that guy that messes things up. So,
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today. It was wonderful to hear your story and gain an insight into what the life of a photographer is truly like. Back to you guys in the studio.